Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Big Bucket of Army Men, Soldiers of World War II set. Distributed by SCS Direct, this fantastic set features 4 factions, American and British allies, along with the Japanese and German Axis powers, claiming a staggering 202 pieces. World War II is my favorite era, the ultimate duel of good versus evil, ideology versus ideology. There are a lot of World War sets out there, but this is one of the better ones. Let's recon. Initially, we see that each faction is tucked into their own compartment within the bucket and their country's flag prominently displayed, and I for one appreciate the small details. Also worth noting is the great artwork. We have American paratroopers taking the fight to the enemy. The plastic of this container is flimsier compared to other brands, but the handle is durable. A knife is the best way to cut through the tape holding the lid on. Of course, that goes without saying. Adult supervision is required. I say again, adult supervision is required. Now that the lid is off, let's take a moment to admire the color contrast between each faction. 2 shades of green between the Japanese and the Americans, who possess the traditional dark green. The British are represented with a not quite tan, but almost a type of autumn leaf color. Let's move on to the deployment. Here we go. We have an absolutely awesome pile of World War II infantry. That's a beautiful thing. Once they're all set up, I did a head count. We have 46 British troops, 50 Americans, 48 Japanese, and 50 Germans. That equates to a total of 194 soldiers plus the 4 flags, equaling 198, 4 pieces below the 202 claim. That's just this particular bucket, but other buckets may have exactly 202 pieces. Ideally, I would like to see an even number of 50 soldiers for each faction, as well as an even number of stances. But as we see, the stances are randomized. Now, with that said, when you have so many figures, you usually still end up with a good distribution of stances, as we see here. Okay, let's attempt to do some color matching. The light green of the Japanese and the leafy autumn color of the British troops are ones I haven't seen too often. Out of the 150 Crayola set, nothing quite matches the Japanese soldier. Going to the British soldier, the closest color I could find to him was the golden rod. Again, I thought these were unique colors, and I wanted to see if we could identify which colors they were. Get to the plastic, soldiers, go! First up, we have the Germans. You'll notice the flag is that of the modern country of Germany. I understand they want to avoid displaying a certain symbol. Associating the modern flag with that of World War II Germany perhaps isn't the best decision either. But I would have opted for a flag design that features the Iron Cross. Besides all that, the soldiers themselves feature equipment unique to the German military at the time, and the detailing is fantastic. To me, the most prominent features are the M42 helmet and the Gestapo-ish boots. Their long rifles appear to be the famed Mauser. They have the notable stick grenades, and the gunners are manning the MG42, which is still one of the most effective guns today. Very well then, get on with it. The UK forces do not have quite as many stances, but they do have one of the cooler ones, which is the bagpipe player. Nothing rallies the men to win a world war quite like a dope run on the bagpipe. The British uniforms featured here appear to be the ones used by the Africa forces, where you have short-sleeve shirts, shorts, and knee-high socks. The detailing is impressive, and I give major kudos for the attention given to the gear. All of these guys have rucksacks and gear belts, a lot more than merely a rifle and a water canteen, and this unit has a heck of a supply of Bren guns. Jordan! The sword-wielding guys of the Japanese are intense, and if you somehow survive those banzai charges, you'll have to beware of those pesky snipers. One of the most indicative details of these figures are the taping going up the calves, which to me reminds me of a throwback to the samurais. There is no shortage of bayonets and melee units on the Japanese side. As with the other factions, there is no lack of detailing when it comes to their equipment and uniforms, and that is much appreciated. And finally, we move on to my fellow Americans, USA, USA, back-to-back World War champs. The detailing is very nice in the American units, but you'll notice that their gear is a lot lighter, consisting of chest rigs and a few items around the gun belt. The flamethrower is the only guy carrying anything heavy on the back. The Americans boast a submachine gunner who yields the M3A1, aka the grease gun. That is one of my favorite guns of all time. That little guy packs a heavy punch with a 45 caliber round in a 30 round stick magazine. The detailing of every faction is impressive, with pronounced features of the gear and fabric of the clothing. The uniforms and equipment are consistent with what each country fought with at the time. As we take a closer look, you can see detailing in the Mauser, and that includes the bolt action itself. You see a chest rig with more ammo or perhaps clips, then the gun belt features a canteen and a shovel. A good level of detailing is also present in the Japanese rifleman. I love the imperialistic uniform also. As we take a look at the British rifleman, he appears to be holding what is the Lee Enfield, a bolt-action rifle with a magazine at the bottom. Every piece of gear has its own lines and contouring. Of course, the socks as well have nice light detailing also. Then they also have a backpack that could be full of mission essential items or food and extra ammo. The American rifleman has a classic rifle grip. Initially I thought this was the M1 Garand, but as we look closer we can see a bolt. And that would indicate that this is a 1903 Springfield. And you can see little pouches on his chest rig. Very nice modeling. The German gunner in the prone position appears to be operating a Bren machine gun, which was the British machine gun at the time, with a magazine at the top. Here is the British soldier. Now, the interesting thing is that the German gunners have a battle buddy feeding them a belt into the machine gun. That, of course, doesn't make much sense if you have a magazine in the top of the gun already. So I would say this is a slight oversight, and the prone German machine gunner should actually be operating the MG42. Now, let's move on to this guy. This is one of the coolest models I've seen. He appears to be a Japanese officer unwilling to surrender and is rallying his troops for a charge on the American invaders. The flags stand high above the soldiers' heads, but be advised, the stickers are only displayed on one side. The other side of the flags do not have a sticker on them. We've just reconned the BigBucket of Army Men Soldiers of World War II playset. Not quite the 202 pieces we were promised, but at 198, that's close enough for me to let it slide this time. Still, great detailing and a great variable of stances. Good work, SCS Direct. This was a subscriber recommendation, and thank you so much because this was fun and exciting. Folks, if you like this set, you can buy it at the Amazon link in the description, and for more military toy reviews, be sure to subscribe. Comment below on what you like and dislike about this set. Last but not least, I ask you to consider becoming a supporter on Patreon for even more reviews. For Call of Plastic, I'm Bill Greenwater. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.